G'day guys, Wildkard. My name is Wildkard and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for watching my contents, my crappy contents. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, hit the join button down below. Otherwise, let's talk about this game. Scotland versus Springboks, Edinburgh, the home of Scotland rugby, Murrayfield. This was a, what can I say? This was like watching backyard rugby at some points. A lot of scrappy passes, a lot of dancing around, holding the ball, throwing the ball back and forth to see who wants to go for a run, especially from the Scottish side. And sure enough, the Springboks were able to maneuver themselves with a quite clinical performance, especially up front in the forward pack. The lineouts were spectacular from the Springboks, stealing a lot of the Scottish opportunities in their attacking lineouts. The scrums as well, almost penalties against Scotland for the entire game. So yeah, this was overwhelmingly dominant in the forward pack for the Springboks. The backline as well, massive improvement from the Springboks. I thought when Elton Yanshis was on the field, he was giving more opportunities for his backline to run the ball. Damien Delende was getting balls, like really good balls, and a lot of space to work with out wide. Thus, he was actually able to, make some pretty nice line gains and getting over the advantage line. In fact, he was able to set up, I think, 2 tries. Both tries were set up by him for my Pimpy. And yeah, I thought that was the most ball that my Pimpy and Delende has got this entire season. I felt like this is probably the most involved game that the two player has been. And largely because the selection for number 10 with Yanshis, Elton Yanshis, really minimizing that kicking game quite a lot and really like open up opportunities for these players to show their like amazing talent. Delende, like literally, I thought one of the best inside centers in the world, and he hardly gets the ball for most of the games when for the Springboks. So it's really good to see they finally turned that and made a big difference for the game, made a strategic adjustment for the game. Also, in another strategic adjustment, huge strategic changes for the sideline for the Springboks. The big daddy himself, Rassi Erasmus, is running water again. The director of rugby for Springboks, with this big smile that we all love, is on the sideline again, running water. So it was really good to see. Rassi Erasmus, who's Jacko Johan, is doing his job as director of rugby. Interesting fact, the Australian director of rugby has just been let go like last week because obviously he doesn't run the water, right? So yeah, that's what you gotta do if you want to keep your job. Australian director of rugby, his job got made redundant in Australia because he's obviously not committed enough to run water for the Wallabies. So anyway, there was also a really beautiful kick from Francois Steyn came onto the field, popped over, almost a 50-meter kick. This was, I thought, was the best kick of the whole game. And it was just like watching a beautiful golf swing. He made that beautiful pop sound when he kicked it. It was just like beautiful to watch. And the ball just floated beautifully through the middle of the goalpost. It was quite nice. Talking about the kicking game, both teams had a bit of a kicking issues for goal kicking, especially Finn Russell missed quite a few kicks for Scotland. So Scotland really squandered the opportunities at the lineouts. A lot of their attacking lineouts were stolen and really squandered the opportunities with some of these 3 points. Finn Russell missed a few. 100 Pollard missed one, and I think Yanshis may have missed one as well from the sideline. Kicking wasn't 100% for both teams, but it was way worse for Scotland as well. There was also a lot of discipline issues for Scotland, especially on the breakdown. Jamie Ritchie has done really well at the breakdown at times, and then other times he just gives away a penalty, which leads to like a 3-point for the Springboks. A little bit of issue. Vincent Koch for the Springboks side was probably the other one is the person that gave away the most penalties, seemed like, for the Springboks. So both teams are a little bit scrappy at the breakdown, to say the least. And also, like I mentioned, big scrum issues, big line-out issues for the Scottish side. And overall, there was I felt like there was a lot of lost opportunity for Scotland in this game. But to be fair, Van der Merwe played really, really well for Scotland, especially being able to link up with Stuart Hogg for 2 tries on the sideline. So Stuart Hogg and Van der Merwe, when they did get the ball, when the backyard rugby kind of stopped, there was a lot when I say backyard rugby, there's a lot of unstructured backline rugby for the Scottish team. A lot of loose balls being thrown around, goes to the ground. So when that was tidied up, when there were good balls going around for Scotland, Van der Merwe really showed really, really good attacking, and then was able to link up with Stuart Hogg for 2 tries for Scotland as well. So overall, Scotland did lose the game with just their discipline, being able to not able to keep up with the penalty count, and really squandering their own penalty kicks as well. Look at the stats, pretty similar meters, 233 for Scotland, 285 for the Springboks. 100 carries for both sides, 16 turnovers conceded for the Scottish side. That is one of the biggest issues for the Scotland side. Tackles, 115 for Scotland, 73 for the Springboks. 22 missed tackles for Scotland, 17 for the Springboks. Kicks in play, 22 to 35 for Springboks. Still overly dominant over Scotland in that kicking game. Couple misses for the Springbok side in goal kicking, and also a bit more for Scotland. 3 missed kicks for Scotland, something that really kind of hurt them a little bit. Lineouts lost. This is probably the biggest thing for Scotland. 3, and a lot of these lineouts were following penalties inside the Springbok half and just being squandered with their opportunities to set up for attack. Overall penalty count, 15 against Scotland, 9 for the Springboks. So Springboks will be pretty happy about that outcome. This was overall, it was pretty close. In fact, at halftime, Scotland was leading the match 10 points to 8. So just ahead. Again, not able to convert those points. Some of those penalties really hurt them. Could have been further ahead at halftime. So bit disappointing for some of you Scottish fans out there. But overall, let's go through the overview for the game. So overall, right away there was a big talking point about the two teams, about the scrummaging, because the Scotland had a really good scrummaging last week against the Wallabies, and Springboks has always had a pretty good scrummaging. Despite the Scotland having a bigger scrum, bigger pack size in the scrum, they really struggled for the whole game. Even in the first half, when their starting scrum front rows were in the mix, their reserve front rowers were less experienced for Scotland, but still their starting ones were struggling as well. So for the first 15 minutes of the game, Scotland was under the pump a lot and was able to diffuse a lot of the opportunities for the Springboks to score. Eventually, Scotland able to break out of their own half with Finn Russell getting the ball inside his own try line, and he threw a pass that was a bit to Van der Merwe inside his own try zone, and Van der Merwe finds a little gap, runs 50 meters in counter attack before he got tackled halfway, and then Scotland floods the breakdown, forces a penalty as well. So Scotland gets a 50-meter penalty despite being pinned inside their own half for the first 15 minutes, where the Springboks had plenty of opportunity to kick for 3, but seems to be wanting to score that try, opting for that line out. So Scotland actually gets on the ball 15 minutes in the game with a 3-point attempt. And so Scotland gets on the ball 3 points to nil 15 minutes in. A few minutes later, right from the kickoff, pretty much on the 18th minute, there was a high ball, and Jamie Ritchie jackals over Willie LaRue, and then he was penalised. He gets a penalty again for Scotland. So it looks like Scotland has an opportunity to be 6 points ahead. But this one was quite easy. And Scotland missed the kick. So the first kick missed on 18th minute. On 23rd minute, there was a warning for Scotland, for Jamie Ritchie, for penalties on the breakdown. Jackling penalties on the breakdown. Springbok gets the opportunity to have a go at the goal. Yangshies gets this one in. 3 points to 3, 23 minutes in. And following this penalty kick, there was a lot of scrappy midfield play, and Scotland seems to not be able to find hands, and Springboks also had a bit of a scrappy play as well. Eventually, the Springboks were able to recover from the scrappiness and get themselves into a bit of in attack. So they basically spread the ball out wide, really, really good hands to Mapimpi, following some pretty good running from the Springbok side. Finally, Mapimpi gets the ball on the wing, slips through a tackle. One of the Scottish winger tried to ankle tap him and not able to do so. So Mapimpi jumped over the ankle tap, runs in. The speed start goes in for the try, puts up the horn. And then, yeah, that was pretty beautiful try. This is like, Mapimpi, this showed like why Mapimpi is so good. And he just hasn't been able to get that opportunity to run the ball that much due to the kicking game that the Springboks seems to rely on quite heavily in recent times. And this was basically a 40-minute run for Mapimpi. And then Yanshis failed to convert this one, actually. So Springboks only ahead by 5, 3 points to 8. On the 34th minute, the Scottish team finally gets an opportunity to inside the Springboks half. Again, a lot of like backyard rugby, loose balls on the ground everywhere. Eventually, the ball was tied up, throws to the I think it was a cross field kick to Van der Merwe. Van der Merwe gets the ball, throws it back in to the Scottish number 4. Scottish number 4 runs down, throws it out to Van der Merwe. Van der Merwe runs down the sideline a little bit as he's about to get pushed out. He throws it back in, and then the ball was knocked down by Herschel Yanshis, but Stuart Hogg was there to pick up the bounce and goes in for a beautiful try for Scotland. And suddenly Scotland's ahead 10 points to 10 going into halftime. On the 40th minute, Scotland has one last opportunity to score before the end of the first half. They kick the ball out for a penalty. The Springboks opted to put on the substitution front rowers. So Vincent Koch, Malcolm Marks, and Kitov comes on just before halftime. And sure enough, the new front rowers didn't actually pay off. Vincent Koch was caught following the line out on the wrong side of the breakdown and gets penalised for a pretty easy kick for Scotland. This was almost right in front with a little bit of angle. And Finn Russell missed again. This really hurt Scotland. This should have been a 3-point. This was a pretty easy kick. So halftime score 10 points today to Scotland. Second half starts. The Springboks comes out of the sheds quite like more aggressive than the first half. The game gets tightened up a little bit more. Delende finds himself in a little bit of nice space out wide. Just a couple minutes into the first half, there was a pretty huge run by Delende. In fact, Delende has been pretty good at crashing through the defense quite a few times this game. He finally gets himself out wide, a huge run. He did a nice little one-handed offload as he makes a little half break offload to Mapimpi, who goes into the corner again. Just second try and again. I think this is the first time Mapimpi scored 2 tries for the Springboks this year. I don't even remember him scoring 2 tries. I think this might be the first time. Let me know if he has done that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's just amazing. These guys are so talented. Given this space, they will create tries for you. So there he goes in for try. Yanshis converts this one. So Springboks gets in front. 2 minutes into the second half, 10 points to 15. And on the 50th minute, there was a seatbelt tackle being penalised against the Scottish team. Springboks gets another opportunity for 3, 10 points to 18. And then, so following that, Delende was like all over the place, getting like turnovers at the breakdowns. He was actually really good performance from him. On the 55th minute, there was another breakdown penalty against Jamie Ritchie. Sure enough, I thought he might get yellow card here, but no. Another position for a penalty kick for the Springboks gets this one. So 10 points to 21. The game looks like starting to slip away for the Scottish team as the penalty count really started to hurt them. A minute later, there was a penalty against the Springboks for a high tackle on Ali Price. So Scottish team decides to go for a 5-meter line out. So Scotland has the line out, comes out more. The more didn't really go anywhere. They gets the ball out. There was a really nice play. There was actually like 2 passes behind the play, like 2 like passes behind, and then the ball goes to Van der Merwe, who runs like kind of like crossfield, and then he draws the final defender that was coming in. He throws the ball over the top to Stuart Hogg, and then Stuart Hogg runs in open field in front of him for a try. 15 points to 22. Again, this was a very easily kickable try. Wasn't a huge angle. Maybe a bit of angle, but I mean, this should have been, again, anyway. Finn Russell misses this one again. 15 points to 21. They really needed that. So after this one, it looks like there's a lot of momentum swinging back to the Scottish side. The crowds are coming alive. There was a huge kick by Scotland. where the Springbok was forced to an 8-minute line out. The whole stadium was going crazy, feeling like there was going to be a turnaround. However, that wasn't to be the case. Scotland not able to capitalize on the Springbok line out, defensive line out, so they got out of the jail. On the 65th minute, Francois Steyn and Pollard comes onto the field. And for straight away, Pollard was given an opportunity to kick a penalty and misses this one. This was, again, not a difficult kick, but this is the only one Pollard missed, just coming off fresh off the bench. Maybe it's still a bit not really warmed up properly. Maybe that's the issue. On the 68th minute, there was another breakdown penalty against the Scots, and I think might be Jamie Ritchie again. Pollard gets the opportunity to slot this one. This time, no issues. 15-24 to the Springboks. On the 17th minute, there was another penalty against the Springboks. Malcolm Marks wins the turnover on the breakdown penalty, and then this was just under 50 meters, and Francois Steyn kicks this one from 50 meters out. Beautiful kick, beautiful sound. It was just like watching a beautiful golf swing, essentially. I thought that was just like, yeah, quite nice to behold. And the ball, like, even though it was 50 meters out, it still went past like the goalpost, like 20 meters past the goalpost. Huge kick. It was really nice to see. And then the Scotland actually had, following this kick, Scotland actually had a couple opportunities in the Springbok half following penalties for lineouts, and they just basically squandered the opportunities with just poor lineout execution being stolen again and again inside the Springbok half with their own lineouts. So Scotland really under the pump here, following by Eben Etzebeth, and I think at this point Diego was off the bench. Was just really good from the Springboks. To be fair, on the 76th minute. The scrummaging was once again paying off for the Springboks. A scrum penalty right in front, the goalpost against the Scotland Rugby, 76th minute. And then Pollard pops this one in right away. And that's basically just completely shut out any opportunities for the Scotland. The Springboks are 30 points to 15 ahead. Needs more than two tries to convert tries to win now, with about 3 minutes, 2 limits left. It's pretty much impossible for Scotland, and that's how the game ended. So yeah, let me know what you think of this game. I thought the Scottish team probably could have done a little bit better with their kicking. If Scotland has managed to convert all their kicks, this will be a lot closer. And also that discipline, the big issue that let Scotland down. Not to say that the Springboks not put a pressure on the Scotland team to get those penalties, but I thought, the Springboks showed a bit more running this game and really showed that they're world-class centers and wingers being able to deliver those good tries, man. Like, I was very impressed. So let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching this video, guys, and I'll see you guys a bit later for more reviews that's coming up. Cheers.